Do you mind making Renee and I co-hosts, please?
Sure thing.
Thank you. All right, wonderful. All right. Okay, there's a few more people trickling in. I'll give it 2 more minutes, 7:38, and then we'll begin. All right, welcome everybody. I call this meeting to order at 7:40 p.m. Will Senator Grunberger please do the pledge?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. All right, I'll start off by reading the land acknowledgement. The student government of Florida State University acknowledges that it is located on the land that is the ancestral and traditional territory of the Appalachian Nation, the Miccosukee Tribe of Florida, the Muscogee Creek Nation, and the Seminole Tribe of Florida. We pay respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants and to all indigenous people. We recognize this land remains scarred by the histories and ongoing legacies of settler colonial violence, dispossession, and removal. In spite of all this, and with tremendous resilience, these indigenous nations have remained deeply connected to this territory, to their families, to their communities, and to their cultural ways of life. We recognize the ongoing relationships of care that these indigenous nations maintain with this land and extend our gratitude as we live and work as humble and respectful guests upon their territory. We encourage all to learn about and educate others on the contemporary work of the indigenous nations whose land we are on, and to endeavor to support indigenous sovereignty in all the ways that we can. Will the pro tempore please call roll?
All right, when I call your names, please raise your hands. Senators Murcia, Flashman, and Tackett. Senators Roy, Villacorta, and Marcus. Senators Bateman, Gertz, and Hunter. Senators Little, Bergen, and Rudolph. Senators Destine, Grunberger, and Rossi. Senators Mouget, Shaler, and Prescia. Senators Randall, Wilkinson, and Stoltz. Senators Arrett, England, and Nasworthy. Senators Molina, Hall, and Lassard. Senators Duperrier, Shanahan, and Rodriguez. Senators Linsky, Rigadel, and Fineout. Senators Soto, Lewis, and Ramos. Senators Sam, A. Gonzalez, and Martin. Senators Gabadaj, Reed, and Moore. Senators Suarez, Nemeth, and Russell. Senators J. Hitchcock, Million, and Murray. Senators West, Rivera, and Thorpe. Senators K. Hitchcock, Kubas, and Darrell Deek. Senators Tooks, Ross, and Boole. Senators Kalink, Lewis, Stinson, and Gonzalez. All right, President Harmon, we do have quorum.
Quorum is verified. Corrections and approval of the journal from January 10th, 2021. Is there a motion? Senator Murray? Senator Roy?
I move to approve the journal.
Senator Lassard?
I second.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, the journal from February 10th is approved. Student and non-budgeted RSO comments. Are there any students or RSOs wishing to make a comment at this time? If so, please raise your hand. Shayna Cohen.
I know, I'm like the person that's always here. Hello, senators. I know you guys have business to do, so I'm going to keep it very, very short. The Jewish Student Union Agency bill is on first reading this week. I hope that all of the senators have had the time and will take the time to read it and review it. Just so you have context on it, this is something that I've probably personally not worked on. I've worked on it pretty much every single day in some capacity since June. So it's not something that has been undertaken lightly by any of the parties involved. There's been conversations within the executive, legislative branch, within the administration, and other Jewish groups on campus. So if you have any questions or concerns about it, which you should, because it is a major change within SGA, please talk to me, talk to the primary sponsors, talk to any of the secondary sponsors, because it's important to us to have open lines of communication through this process. Thank you and have a great rest of your Senate.
Thank you, Shayna. Are there any other students and non-budgeted RSOs wishing to comment? Seeing none, Senator England.
Yeah, understanding that the student body president has to leave promptly at 8:30, I move to unlock the calendar for the purpose of moving to new business or unfinished business, whichever one it is.
Yeah. Is there a second? Senator Lassard.
I'll second.
Is there an objection? Seeing none, the calendar is unlocked. We will now move to unfinished business. which is the impeachment of Student Body President Levin. And we will be discussing the second charge, which is, hold up, let me pull it up. The second charge that has passed the Judiciary Committee, which is nonfeasance, failure to comply with a lawful subpoena, which deals with Article 2, Section 5, Clause A9 of the Student Body Constitution and Student Body Statute 205.3E2. If the Student Body President is, I believe he's here, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Actually, if Dr. Bowden could make President Levin a co-host so that he can just unmute himself, that would be helpful.
Sure thing. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, thank you.
Actually, Anna, can you do it? Looks like I'm on co-host status as well.
Oh, yes, as the host now.
Yeah, let me look at that.
Oh, and Attorney General Reddy, if you're planning on speaking, just raise your hand and I can unmute you as well. Ah, there we go. Yeah. There we go. Thank you. All right, President Levin, you will have 5 minutes for an opening. Whatever you do not use in the opening is reserved for your closing.
Great. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Good evening, Senate. Thank you. Like was explained, I do have to leave at 8:30 due to RTC counsel that would go on my record, that would go into my Air Force career. So with that being said, hopefully we'll be able to finish that in the due time. If not, Attorney General will be here for questions. So I would just like to start off, and then I would let him go into it. Specifically with the subpoena and the charge being not complying with a lawful subpoena. Getting right to the direct point of it, I do not believe that the subpoena was lawful for multiple reasons that I'll let the Attorney General get to, but it's one of them also being that our statutes are quite confusing and have a lack of information as what happens with the subpoena, what happens afterwards. Is there a petition? Is there not a petition? It's quite confusing. And back when this happened, I did go to the general counsel for FSU, who works for the Division of Student Affairs. And I also talked with other legal advice from civil attorneys, asking them what I should do. And it was a general consensus that the time that was stated, it was not allowed, but that also, since there was no accusations and there was no accuser, there needs to be strong evidence for a subpoena to be issued, and that was not there. So I will let the Attorney General go into the other things, but I do want to say, just in case I have to leave, I'm here to work. Was the same way back August. I hope this doesn't have to go into another 1:00 in the morning meeting, but we'll go from there. That I'm here to work for you all. Kelvin.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. President, Senate President Harmon. I've done extensive research this past week on trying to really get down to the point as to whether or not the subpoena power that the Senate governing documents purports to have under, it's in Article 2 of the Constitution, it's in Chapter 406G, and then there's a mention of it in Rule 2.6, which requires, the Senate rules, that requires the Senate President's signature. But I first began my look into Florida statutes, and specifically whether or not Florida statutes section 1004.263 or 1004.26, which is the Florida statute that creates student governments, whether that prescribed a power to the student government in order to issue subpoenas. Like the requirement there is that in one part in 104.263 that the execution of all other duties as prescribed to the student government by law. And then if you look for an example of that, you'll get in Florida statutes 1009.2410B with the activity and service fee allocation process that a lot of us are familiar with. That's prescribed by law. to the best of my knowledge and research, there's nothing prescribing a subpoena power to a student government. And then I look further into the purpose behind student governments, and the general consensus is, if you look in, and I'll quote this throughout the night if there's questions. I know we have a limited amount of time, but if you look in Florida A&M University Board of Trustees v. Bruno, the court said there that student government is an extracurricular activity, not a real government. And they went into great detail as to that student government is an extracurricular learning laboratory for students seeking public experience within a simulated republic. According as well, they quoted Alabama Student Party versus Student Government Association of the University of Alabama. That was in the 11th Circuit, which is within our realm. But I'll yield here so we have our closing time. And any questions you can feel free to direct to me. We yield.
All 45 seconds to their closing. Are there any senators wishing to speak? Senator Linsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. When you denied responding to the subpoena, did you know of these statutes at that time?
When we denied,
when you said we don't want to respond to the subpoena, it's invalid.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
I'll go ahead. Yeah, so we did respond twice with a letter stating this information. And I became aware of the statutes after talking to those attorneys. Before that, I have not looked into subpoenas, but once it was issued, once I spoke with the attorneys, and then that letter was crafted, I did look into the civil law.
All right. And when exactly was that?
Within that time before the letter was sent. I don't have a specific date of when they were being contacted, but it was within the same time. I know the second subpoena was issued July 15th. The first one was July 14th. So within that time period.
So to be clear, I mean, I'm reading the letter that was sent by the Attorney General right now. And the only reasons that it gives why you shouldn't respond is because, one, the Senate President didn't sign it. And two, the subpoena issued with less than 24 hours runs counter to Florida civil procedure law. So
yeah, that was
how come that wasn't in the reason that you denied it, but it is part of the rationale now for why you denied it.
The first letter covers the timing and the signature. The second letter covered, again, the timing under civil procedure law, and it covered two other distinct issues that we brought up in the committee last week, which were my concerns then with equal protection of the president and the case law from Trump v. Mazars. If you're referring to my statements before, those are my research. Since I've never believed that, in my opinion, that the student government is a learning laboratory. If you look into it and research it, and that research I did primarily this past weekend, and I think it more than satisfies the issue, even more than my letters did.
I would agree. Student government is a learning experience. It seems like we're learning a lot right here. During your self-education, did you come across Florida statute 11.143?
Could you quote it for me?
Sure. I'm going to pull it up right now. 11.143, standing or select committees and powers. This is 3A. In order to carry out its duties, each committee, whenever required, may issue subpoena and other necessary process to compel the attendance of witnesses before such committee, and the chair thereof shall issue the process on behalf of the committee in accordance with the rules of the respective house, which is crucial. The chair or any other member of such committee may administer all oaths and affirmations in the manner prescribed by law to witnesses who appear before the committee for the purpose of testifying in any manner concerning which the committee desires evidence. Does that seem clear to you?
Is that referring to student governments, or is that?
It's referring to the state, their actual legislative houses. But would you agree that from looking at this, when it says in our student statutes in 406G that it must comply with state law, this is the statute that's being referred to in reference of a legislative subpoena, which is distinct from a judicial subpoena.
I'm not sure what if you're referring to chapter 406G and 406G1, which deal with the investigative boards being able to issue subpoenas, I actually think that those two that chapter is in conflict with the FSU Constitution, and that the FSU Constitution specifically gives the power to issue subpoenas upon majority vote of the standing committee, of which
It does, and that's actually how the each rules of procedure of the House and the Senate do it too. Specifically, our rules of procedure 2.6, which you've read, says that the president has to sign the subpoena within 8 days. In your letter denying, saying that the subpoena is invalid, you claimed that the president did not sign the subpoena. Is that true?
The first one
did not sign the subpoena.
The first one, as I recall, he did not sign that subpoena.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and it's dated 7/14. And former Senate President Darrell Dick's signature is on it.
Well, this is the one I'm looking at, the first one. Hold on, let me turn off that virtual background so it doesn't eat it.
So the first one didn't have a signature. They fixed the problem and signed it. And then you said no because why?
The other enumerated issues in my letter as well, the equal protection issues, the case law on Trump v. Mazars, and a general, just again, whether or not the issue here is if it's a lawful subpoena.
Could you explain Trump v. Mazar to all of us, please?
The way I understand Trump v. Mazars, when I quoted it in my letter, was that the Congress may not rely on the president's information if other sources could reasonably provide Congress the information it needs in light of a particular legislative objective. Trump v. Mazars. That's the part I quoted.
So where was the other source of information they could have gotten it? Like, why is that applicable if you're not naming who they could get it from? Wouldn't you have to then say,
I believe they're minutes.
You can only get it, you can get it from other places. We don't know where you can get it from. Good luck and come back to us when you figure that out. Isn't that the gist of it?
Well, I think, and I'll add, I truly believe that's the inherent problem as a whole. And that's what I was saying in the very beginning is the subpoena was issued for my text messages within 2 days, period. It wasn't because, or it was never told to me because of this person said this, or I was believed to do something within those text messages, or because those text messages are hurting somebody or anything like that. That wasn't in the subpoena, and that wasn't told to me either. And so if you read through the minutes, which I didn't even read those minutes until months down the road, it was said within public comment that I tried to coerce or threaten or do any of those type things, but there was no evidence to support that. And that also was not brought up. And so I cannot quote the letter, I can pull it up, but what was our thought process behind it, that if somebody had a message that they believe that I did any of those things, they should present it. And if that evidence isn't there, and it shouldn't be there, or it isn't there because I didn't coerce anybody and I didn't threaten anybody.
I appreciate that. And that's a wholly separate inquiry than what we're talking about right now. It's not, what you did or did not do in the messages. The whole essence of this inquiry was the subpoena valid? Could Attorney General Reddy or President Levin, could you read me the subpoena clause of the Constitution, the student body Constitution for SGA?
Yes, I believe it is FSU or Article 2,
Section 5,
FSU
number
Constitution.
9.
Yeah, issue subpoenas upon majority vote of the standing committee. Now, again,
I didn't ask for anything more than that. I appreciate. Actually, you know what? Go ahead.
Again, my argument in right now from my research, in addition to everything else, really focusing here on the issues if it's a lawful subpoena, and you have to admit you have to look at whether or not, just because it says it's there in the Constitution.
So if I can just get to the point, you're saying that our Constitution is unconstitutional.
it didn't get that. Yeah, yes, the subpoena power that it purports to give to the Student Government Association, I find no evidence that the state of Florida ceded such power under the Florida statute that creates Florida student governments under the state of Florida. I haven't found it.
It's unconstitutional to vest investigative powers into a legislative active body of government.
It's not a
when
body.
it's a student government. Just to be clear, the theory of your case is student governments never get to have subpoena power, ever.
They aren't right now under Florida laws, what we're contending. I see nothing that gives it. You do, if you go look into the statutes, you find that they have prescribed the power over an A&S.
And the Constitution. Don't just forget our Constitution.
Our Constitution?
Our Constitution, sure.
Our Constitution may purport to have the subpoena power, but I don't think it does. And just because the student governing document purports to give power that the state hasn't ceded, I mean, we've seen examples within this year, calendar year, that just because, again, a thing is said to be, that it doesn't actually exist. If you look at this past summer with the rule allowing the removal of a Senate president.
How come you didn't make this argument when the subpoena was originally, sent over to you?
When it wasn't originally sent, I hadn't done all this research. Remind you again.
Is it because this argument isn't credible?
No, that is not why. This argument isn't completely credible, in my opinion. I will send over my written memorandum where I have my argument to the Senate president, and you can feel free to read it. And you can decide for yourself whether you find it credible or not. I stand by it as credible. I believe it is completely credible.
Do you think that the time is sort of past for that?
No. When has it ever passed to bring up?
Because we have 30 minutes to decide on this charge.
Whether or not
President Levin leaves.
Why would I not bring up what I think is a crucial piece of evidence showing that it isn't lawful? Because the power.
I'm going to move to deliberations now. All right. Look. Is it unconstitutional for our Constitution to have a vesting clause of the Constitution that vests subpoena powers within the legislative body, within SGA? That's really the question that's before us right now. That's the argument that Attorney General Reddy has presented us. And to his evidence as to why we haven't seen it yet, but in essence, it's that, well, there's no specific statute in the Florida statutes in the entire code that grants that affirmative power to the student government to create that. If that were the case, if that were actually a true and credible argument, we would need statutes in the state body of government for us to do anything. Any sort of affirmative enumerated power that's given to the legislative body, the executive body, the judicial body, it would have to be affirmatively enumerated first in the state statutes. That's not really the purpose of the state statutes. Unless we can see something that says in the statutes specifically that subpoena power cannot be given to a student government, then I don't see any reason to think that our constitutional is anything but constitutional in this regard. This provision has been there since, I think, the 56th Student Senate. That was the last time that Article 2 was amended. And it seems clear that, one, the reasons why we're presented today are not the reasons that were presented when when the student body president vis-a-vis the attorney general denied the subpoena. Two, the reasons that are given today involve an evolution of thinking. And while this might be a pedagogical process, I'm failing to see the actual logical steps that Mr. Reddy and student body president Levin took to come to the conclusion after the fact, about 9 months after the fact, that we were right to not respond to this subpoena, but we just didn't know it then. We know it now, and the reason that we know it now is because we've concocted a theory that our Constitution is unconstitutional. With that, I don't know how I'm going to vote. I really don't. I still think that impeachment it's a really big deal, right? And I don't think that, if I'm looking at the situation, I don't think that President Levin was the actor here. I don't think that he's the one who made these decisions that put him in this position. So I'm still probably going to vote no on this impeachment. But if I want anyone to take anything away from this, is that the rules matter. And when you say, I don't want to comply with something, and you don't know why, and you're not given a reason that's actually founded in the law, that's not actually contradicting our Constitution, then maybe take a step back and say, am I really doing the right thing here? Is this really what this is all about? And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator Linsky. I sent out the memo from Attorney General Reddy to the entire Senate, if any of you would like to read over that. And if you didn't get the email, let me know and I can send it over to you. Senator Marcus.
I'm just going to go straight into deliberations. And what I want to say is that this whole idea of a learning laboratory keeps being brought up. And one of the things we should learn in this is accountability, in my opinion, especially for people who might wish to go into actual politics. And I'm a STEM major. I'm not your law person. So if I mess up jargon tonight, pardon me. But there is court case after court case about this issue, and all it took was a Google search to get that. So I kind of want to just go ahead and read into some of these court cases. The first one that I found was Wilkinson versus United States, which is in the Supreme Court, which outlines the 3 requirements for a legislative subpoena, noting the difference between a legislative subpoena and a judicial subpoena. The first one was specific to committee investigations, and it was if the subject is authorized. Yes, because this was a subcommittee, the subject of the investigation was approved by the committee. So under this Supreme Court case, yes, that one point is valid. So you can check mark that. The second one is valid legislative purpose, which does not necessarily have to be about specific legislation. And the investigative board did have a clear purpose, and this subpoena was a result of something that they found. So I believe that second requirement is also valid. The third one is that inquiries must be pertinent to the subject at hand. Yes, that is checked off once again. So with that being said, the 3 requirements in a United States Supreme Court case for a legislative subpoena to be legally valid have been checked off here. Then you go on to other court cases, such as Eastland versus United States, where it once again that's the court case where the difference between a legislative and a judiciary subpoena is established. There are more court cases, including a local one in Tallahassee called Metz versus Map Media, where the same thing is discussed once again. So all it takes is a Google search for one to find that there's court case after court case after court case that supports this charge. And that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Senator Marcus. Senator England.
Yes, I first had a question for the student body president and his counsel. Do you recall who? I understand that the former Senate president's signature was on the subpoenas. My question is, do you know who requested or who authorized the subpoenas? Because I'm just trying to understand here in regards to the FSU's constitution. So can you remember who requested that the Senate president sign these?
I know that when we got the first subpoena, there was no signature. Then we put that in the letter, and they sent another one. I don't know exactly who requested for the Senate president to sign it.
Okay. Would it be possible, President Harmon, to direct the question to the former chair of the investigative board, Chair Little, perhaps?
Chair Little, are you able to answer this question?
Yes, so the subpoena was not sent by the investigative board. It was sent by the Judiciary Committee, a standing committee, the chair of whom at the time was Lecky, and the vice chair of whom at the time was Chabot, either of whom could have sent the email to former Senate President Darrell Deke.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Senator Stinson.
Okay, so I'm just here to talk about like a lot of the legality behind the subpoena, because a lot of what was just said is not really relevant to any of this, because there's multiple reasons as to why the subpoena is just unlawful. I'll get into the first reason. So due process. After conversing with some lawyers about this, If you're issued a subpoena and you have a petition against it, you have to be awarded a hearing. And President Levin was never awarded that hearing. It was never stated why the state found or wanted to know why they were entitled to this material, why it was relevant, what evidence could it have led to that is discoverable. And so if that's not a reason enough why it's unlawful, let's go another one. So right to privacy. You can't ask for somebody's private text message. You can't. Everyone has a right to privacy. The only time that you can look through somebody's text messages is if it is in the public interest. The public interest outweighs that of a private citizen. And the only time that this has really ever been used is to look through a terrorist phone. So if we want to say that that's on the level of President Levin, I don't really find that lawful at all. So that's two reasons right there why everything we're talking about right now is pretty irrelevant and has some severe legal repercussions if this were to go through. And with that, I yield.
Senator Linsky has a point.
Yeah, legislative subpoenas are used for more than going through terrorist cell phones. Point one. Point two, legislative subpoenas are in fact used for final, one point at a time.
This is clarification, right? You just need to.
I'm clarifying, it's a point of clarification. Yeah,
Right,
and
you.
information. Legislative subpoenas are used to collect private information. In fact, the subpoena stipulated that any numbers that were to be sent over were to be redacted so that privacy was maintained between the parties. Three, there aren't legal repercussions for following through with the subpoena. That's actually what you're supposed to do. That's complying with the law. That's all.
Senator Gonzalez.
Yes, I have a point first. Is that okay?
Yeah.
A point of information to Senator Stinson. Can you repeat what you said about being awarded a hearing? Can you talk about that again? I believe you said that he had to petition something. Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, so I was actually talking to some lawyers about this, but if you are awarded a subpoena and you petition or object to it, you have to be awarded a hearing. And if you're not awarded that hearing, then the subpoena is then nullified. So
Okay, thank you. Student Body President Levin, did you ever object or petition?
We sent the letter back, and to my knowledge, that's where it ended. So since our statutes do not explain how to petition or anything like that, it was the opinion, or it was the advice that I received, not from Attorney General Reddy, from the other attorneys that I asked for advice from, that would serve as a petition.
Okay, but I would imagine that somewhere in state law, it would say how to petition, right?
They said a letter in response would be that response that would be due in that 30 days.
Okay, so did you ever ask for a hearing? Or did you ever say that that was your right? Did you ever communicate that to the legislative body?
I did not know of any response back.
Okay, but you never, I'm saying, did you ever request a hearing?
No, I did not,
Okay.
because there was no response back.
Okay. Anyway, so I would like us to point out in deliberation. I'd like us to go to the Florida statutes. It's actually Title 48, Chapter 1004, that talks about public post-secondary education. And this is the statute that ingrains student government in Florida, like the state of Florida statutes. And it talks about how each student government shall be organized and maintained by students, and that each student government is allowed to adopt internal procedures governing the operation and administration of the student government, the execution of all other duties as prescribed to the student government by law, the qualifications and elections and returns, the appointments and the suspension, removal, and discipline of officers of the student government shall be determined by the student government as prescribed by its internal procedures. I think we cannot overlook the statutes that actually ingrain our student government to the state of Florida, law. And I think when we look at the statutes, when we look at how we are awarded the power that we are awarded, it makes sense that the power is given to us to govern our own student government. The power, maybe it's not directly, as Attorney General says, but it gives us the power to decide how to remove, how to suspend, remove, discipline officers of the student government. It says that each student government shall adopt internal procedures providing for the suspension and removal of an elected or appointed student government officer following the conviction of that officer of a wrongdoing. And I think it's very important that we kind of understand that there are statutes that ingrain our student government to state of Florida law. And once we look through those statutes, once we understand how we are connected to state of Florida, and then we can understand how the power is given to us to issue subpoenas, to do different kinds of stuff, to hold each other accountable within student government. So with that, I yield.
Senator Boole.
Thank you, President. I have a couple questions and then I'll move into deliberations. So first, did the student body president ever hand over or release the information and/or documents requested in said subpoenas, even if it was outside of the 24-hour period? So 30 days after, 60 days, or 9 months after?
I did not.
Okay. Would it also be the opinion of the student body vice president and/or council that the judicial branch also does not have the legal power to issue subpoenas? The judicial branch of SGA.
I believe my memo makes it very clear that I do not believe that student governments were given the power of subpoena over personal text messages of personal private citizens.
All right, and I'll move into deliberations. So with that, quick responsive that the judicial branch doesn't have the legal right to even subpoena information, which they have in the past. Is there anything legally that the student body can do? Does everything have to be enumerated in Florida statutes? Because the judicial branch has also is allowed to do subpoenas in the SGA Constitution and statutes. And I don't know where the line is. I feel like this is a very, it's a funny argument because it's basically anything can be contested. Any legal proceeding of SGA can be contested on the basis that it's not actually government and it's just an experiment. And so nothing can actually be, held to. So if you get impeached, well, that's not actually, you can't actually get impeached because, it's not actually a legal proceeding because SGA has no legal power. So I find the argument kind of loophole, like ridiculous, like it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't really follow logic. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Senator Boole. Senator Lassard.
Yes, I have a question for Attorney General Reddy. When did you write the memo that was sent to us at 8:05 p.m.?
Over this past weekend.
Okay. Would this be a point of personal privilege if I want to make a comment about getting this memo, President Harmon?
You didn't receive it?
No, I'm talking about receiving it. Would that be a point of personal privilege if I want to make a comment about this?
If you want to make a comment, you can just speak.
Okay. Considering this is a 9-page document in support of President Levin, I don't feel like sending it to President Harmon and then us receiving it at 8:05 p.m. in the middle of this impeachment hearing gives us an ample amount of time to read it and make an informed decision. So if you wrote it over this weekend, I'm sure I'm not the only one who is feeling like we would have liked to have more time to review this document so that we could make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lassard. Senator Stinson.
Okay, a couple of things I just want to just clarify is one, if he petitions, it's not his job to be awarded a hearing. And then two, like a lot of these things are open to interpretation. And so, if you think a lot of what was discussed today is right or wrong, that's okay. But when it comes to due process, if that's broken, this nullifies everything. It doesn't matter if everything was followed lawfully. If one thing is followed unlawfully, that nullifies the entire case. And I've talked with multiple lawyers who are, practicing this kind of stuff, and they found this to be very true. And it's not even this one thing that happened. It's two. And so the things discussed earlier, it doesn't matter if those are right or wrong. It's, that's your interpretation. But these things have been broken, and it just nullifies everything. And yeah, that's it.
Point, Senator Linsky.
Due process clause of the Fifth Amendment, due process clause of the 14th Amendment. As Attorney General Reddy is probably aware, the crux of it is notice is reasonable when it is intended to put somebody on notice, given reasonable time, place, and circumstance. If you, again, look towards our student statutes and you look towards our Constitution, look to statute, I think it's 204.1, which defines reasonable time. Reasonable time in this instance is 24 hours. If the student body president has office hours, it is confirmed in the emails that during the subpoena in that 24-hour time frame, he did have office hours. Ergo, due process on the federal level was serviced. Insofar as due process in respect to the difference between a judicial subpoena, which someone has to petition for, a judge then issues out to somebody else and says, you have to comply with their request or their order, really. A legislative subpoena, as it's defined in federal statutes, in our state statutes, and even our student body statutes, it's a unilateral process wherein a standing committee issues a vote. Some have a majority vote, some have a 2/3 vote. If that vote threshold was met, and in this case it was, the subpoena is valid. So ergo, the due process concerns are not concerns. And just as a point of personal privilege, saying due process, due process, due process, without actually saying what it means, cheapens what due process actually is.
Senator Randall has a point.
Thank you. Point of clarification, the statutes that my colleague is referring to, again, 203.9 and 203.10 are referring to the advertisement of public meetings and not referring to public notice and of specific things. That's it. That's just not how it reads. Thank you.
Senator Villacorta.
Before I speak, I believe Senator Linsky had raised his hand for a point.
Oh, sorry. It's hard to see everybody. Point, Senator Linsky.
The statute isn't 203.9. It's actually 204.1, which reads, scope, reasonable time means during scheduled office hours. If office hours are scheduled and within no more than 24 hours, the student Supreme Court may grant an extension of time. So even if this wasn't enough time per the statutes, there actually is a petition process right there. It's to say, I want to go to petition to the student Supreme Court and say, this is not enough time. Can I have more time to do that? That didn't happen.
Senator Villacorta.
Thank you. So first off, to whoever can answer this, I don't know if it would be more on the administrative side or if Attorney General Reddy or President Levin would happen to know, but the student body constitution, after any amendments are made, and then also at any point, periodically every couple of years, is it reviewed by the university's general counsel or the legal team or the deputy general counsel for student affairs? If Dr. Bowden or anyone would happen to know that answer?
I do not believe that there is a standard review periodically. However, you can definitely believe we've been talking about it recently. But to my knowledge, that does not currently exist, but that's also being transparent that my time with the Senate has been short. But I am not aware of any normal process for reviewing, but we have looked at some other institutions that do a 3-year review. And so when this is all said and done, I would love to work with all of you all to create a committee that reviews this every 3 years so we can make sure we stay up to date.
I believe you'll be very happy to know that that should be on the ballot as a constitutional amendment in the upcoming weeks. Again, to anyone who would be able to answer, probably Dr. Bowden again, sorry for the frequent question, but when a constitutional amendment is proposed to the student body constitution, that does get reviewed by the Vice President for Student Affairs. Is it generally the practice of the Vice President of Student Affairs or the Student Affairs Department, if you happen to know the answer, to consult with the university's counselors when amendments and things like that are proposed?
Yes, I think that's a fair assessment. If I understand your question right, would we consult with counsel on any type of constitutional amendment?
Yes, generally, if the Senate forwards a constitutional amendment, it gets passed on the ballot before it's finally approved by the Vice President for Student Affairs. Do they generally consult with the council?
Yes, I think that's fair. That's a fair statement.
All right, thank you. So the first thing I'll kind of say is I have some concerns with some of the points that have been brought up by the Attorney General, specifically in the kind of memorandum that we got, and some of the kind of reasoning that's been given. Because what it's kind of sounded like to me is that there are now, the kind of defense is that, okay, well, there are these cases, we don't believe student government, it's a learning experiment, it's a learning lab, I believe the term was, and this is why we decided not to comply with the subpoenas. But this seems to be a very new development, and I do have some concern that that is now being used as the basis for saying this is why we didn't comply, these are the reasons, when the defense that was submitted at the time were different cases that and different arguments that many senators have brought up separate challenges to. So I do have some concern with the Senate not having had proper time to review any new defenses or arguments that have been brought. I think that really gives us a hard time in doing our job thoroughly. I get their time restraints and all of those things. But I think, we have this process initiated, hopefully as rare as it has been, that we be given the, I hesitate to say the term respect, but the courtesy to have any relevant documents or arguments presented to us ahead of time so that we're able to properly review them and consider them, whether that be from those making their defense or those submitting arguments. I also think, after hearing several of senators' arguments, that it's pretty compelling that the subpoenas were lawful and that they were not complied with. And I, do share Senator, I'm not sure of a previous senator's concern that there are, different levels to which impeachment is used for, and thinking about if this rises to that. So I'm, still kind of mulling that over myself, but I think that in the interest of the public good, anyone who is serving in a position when they receive a lawful subpoena, that should be something that is complied with, given that we have already kind of hashed out where most of us stand on whether or not we agree with the arguments presented by the defense and by the Senate. I do also have some disagreement with the idea that student government is a learning lab. I think if you're going to learn, you should learn in the way that is intended. And I think the way that's intended by our governing documents is to learn an environment that has a subpoena power. In our documents, it's been used before in a 2016 case where text messages and group me messages from a member of the Senate, or several members of the Senate, I believe, were subpoenaed. And all this to say that the Attorney General's defense and the President's defense, while I certainly appreciate the points they've made and have looked into a lot of them extensively in my own research for this, I do believe that these subpoenas were lawful, and the refusal to comply with the subpoenas does constitute an offense. Whether that's impeachable is something I'm still weighing.
Thank you, Senator Villacorta. Senator Mouget, you have a point.
I have a point of information for President Levin. What legal advice did you get?
So I went to multiple civil lawyers and general counsel, and especially because I'm not a lawyer. I've never taken law classes, as well as most of us here on the call. And so, to be quite honest, and this kind of goes into what we're talking about here tonight, right? I took the advice that I received, right? So if that is grounds for impeachment from taking advice from legal experts, then okay. But I took the legal advice that this subpoena was not lawful. From general counsel, I was told that I had 30 days to respond, in which we did. We did respond, and I was not told back of any. I was not told back of any response. I was not told back of anything, and it wasn't even brought up again. The next information that I got was a questionnaire, which we were asked to come in to speak, to answer questions. Couldn't make it to the meeting, so there was written questions, and I answered every single one of them. So again, it is that 8:30 time. So, and I apologize, okay, but I was under the complete mentality and understanding that this was not a lawful subpoena from attorneys, and I took their word. I took their advice. Okay, and so because of that, I did not send in my text messages. Nobody came forward to me with an accusation. No one came forward to me saying that, hey, I didn't like the way you texted me this. None of that. All right, y'all. And I think a big part of it, I'm sorry this is going on away from the specific question, but we're getting so wrapped up into what other people are saying. It's back and forth, and it's not getting anywhere. I kind of want to get back to the whole point of this is, should I be impeached? Do y'all believe I should be impeached? Okay. And I took the legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. That's it. Right. So complied when I was asked to, was told I shouldn't for this. And that's where we're at. Okay. And I'm sorry. If there's any specific questions, I'll take them real quick, but I do have to go, or I will get in trouble by the Air Force. So
I have a deliberation to say, but just for the sake of time and President Levin having to head out, so I'll leave it for any more questions that have to come and save mine for later.
Senator Little or Chair Little?
I also had just a deliberation, so if anyone else who has their hand raised has questions, they can go ahead.
All right. Any other questions that you can quickly ask the student body president, please leave your hand up. All right, Senator Bull.
Thank you, President. Is it true that you were invited by the investigative board on multiple occasions to come and speak with the investigative board, and those were denied multiple times?
Like I was just said, I was invited to come once, and I could not come due to another meeting that was scheduled beforehand, and that's why I asked for questions so that I could answer them, which I did.
Okay, and that's the only last question I had. I have deliberations, but I'll save those.
Well, you can just continue, and then we'll move on to the other deliberations as well.
Thank you, Senate. I hope you use my words when you make your decision. Have a good night.
Senator, okay, Senator Bull, there you go.
Thank you. What I'd like to say is, on my time serving in the investigative board, I showed up to, I think, 3 or 4 meetings, and those 3 or 4 meetings were very quick. And that was for the reason that we would come, we would meet, and Gabby would say, sorry for using your name, the chair would say, sorry guys, the president had another conflict and couldn't come. And that happened again and again and again. So there was a chance, to come in person multiple times, and multiple times that was denied. And I would say, if you think that the lawful subpoena was unlawful, then you should vote no. But if you do believe the subpoena was lawful, and now, they bring up a new defense, okay, a new defense in this past week, which was not given in judiciary. It's only given to the full Senate. So they had to wait even longer to be able to formulate this defense. And of course, only giving us, 20 minutes to read it. It's classic disrespect. with guilt comes the right to punish. That would be Kant, Immanuel Kant, and it's clear to me that the student body president was cognizant of the fact that they were not doing the right thing. Now, whether that be because they wanted to save themselves from, whatever the subpoena was asking for, or whatever that reason may be, is irrelevant, because ultimately what the charge has brought forth is true, and I believe the student body vice president or student body president to be guilty of that, and with guilt comes the right to punish. So thank you.
Senator Little.
Yes, I'm also just going to deliberate. So I have been on the Judiciary Committee since I joined Senate, which was, we're coming up on the 1-year mark now. And so first of all, I just wanted to enumerate, I feel like they get mixed up a lot. The Senate Judiciary Committee and the Investigative Board are two separate bodies. They had two separate leaderships. They did two separate things. They served two separate purposes. And they are not, they were comprised of the same members for the most part, but they are not the same thing. So I was chair of the Investigative Board. I was never, well, I am chair of Judiciary now, but I was not chair of Judiciary at the time that all of this was happening. And so the subpoena that was sent by the Judiciary Committee. So it was separate from any investigations that were made by the Investigative Board. The Investigative Board, in fact, did not ever investigate into these text messages. It was not something that was testified to at any Investigative Board hearing. So it is completely separate from that issue. But speaking from the perspective of someone who has been on the Judiciary Committee for almost a year now, when we received the initial response from Attorney General Reddy to the subpoena, the issue was not that student governments were not allowed to issue subpoenas. The issue was that it was incompatible with Florida Sunshine Law that did allow for student governments to issue subpoenas. The issue that was enumerated to the committee at the time was that we needed to give them 30 days notice per Florida Sunshine Law. That was the letter that I received, and I have a copy of that letter if anyone else would like to read it in 20 minutes. But that was the response that I received then. When this issue was brought to the Judiciary Committee a couple weeks ago, when the hearing was held, again, this issue of student governments not being allowed to issue subpoenas. They were given another opportunity to enumerate that, and again, they did not. That was not a reason that was brought up to us as to why the subpoena was unlawful. It was a reason that has been invented within the last 2 weeks since that Judiciary Committee meeting has been held. So this is the first time that I'm hearing about it, speaking from the perspective of someone who has been in the committee that issued the subpoena the entire time since I believe it was in July initially. So this, whether or not it's an impeachable offense, I agree is a different issue. However, I will say that the reasons for why the compliance did or didn't happen have changed numerous times throughout the course of this process. And I hope that everyone can realize how different the story is and how often the story changes that we're hearing, and can recognize when the wool is being pulled over our eyes. So with that, I yield.
Senator Mouget.
Thank you. I'm going to go into deliberations for a second. Folks, a question we need to be asking ourselves is this an impeachable offense? Now, from a personal perspective, I understand the executive branch gets paid. We as senators don't get paid. Pretty much SGA is a volunteer opportunity. We are dedicating time and time again to work for the school, dedicate for the students. I just don't see, I'm actually, just a little baffled the fact that we're talking about impeaching somebody for not bringing up their text messages. President Levin has said time and time again that he is willing to have conversations. I've seen it happen. I don't understand why these text messages are an impeachable offense for not sending them forward. I would like everybody to do a little self-reflecting and really look at themselves and say, is someone not sending in their text messages, the student not sending in their text messages, an impeachable offense? And I got my time.
Senator Rigadell.
I believe I have a point of information. Is the Senate allowed to know why these text messages were subpoenaed and why the committee decided they wanted to do that?
Is there someone on this call that can answer that question? Senator, or who are you directing this to specifically? Can you direct this to someone?
I believe the chair of the committee, but the chair of that committee at the time is no longer with
Probably
us.
be Chair Little. She probably have the most knowledge.
Yes, Chair Little, I would like to know why you're subpoenaing these documents and why it's such a big issue and why they're not giving them to us.
I'm sorry, if the senator could repeat the question one more time. My internet's been cutting in and out, which is why my video is going on and off.
I guess I'm Senator Rigadell, by the way. I don't talk often, but I'd like to know why this is such a huge issue, why your committee decided to subpoena these documents, these text messages, and I want to know if that's something Senate was allowed to know.
Yeah, so the minutes from that meeting are still on the SGA website. I believe it was 7/13 and 7/14 were the dates from the minutes. And a student had come into public comment and had said that there was that someone had said that President Levin was texting senators about legislative matters during the Senate meetings. And so the subpoena was specifically for text messages to sitting senators about legislative matters, so that we could see if there was any coercion or anything like that. It was like an investigative look into what really happened. So the concern came from a student, I guess, if that was your question.
Senator Rigadell, do you yield your time? I'm assuming you yield.
Yes, thank you, I yield.
All right. Senator Prescia? Oop. Right, yeah, there.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
This is one of my first. So I'm not sure. I guess this would be a point of information, possibly.
If you're asking a question, point of information. If you're clarifying some answer, clarification.
Okay, a point of clarification then. I saw on here, let me pull it up again. I saw on the SGA website that the Supreme Court issued an advisory opinion that said that transcripts of the content of interpersonal communication in the form of email, text message, or otherwise may constitute as a public record if it is made or received pursuant to the Constitution or statutes or in connection with any official transaction or business. I just want to point that out just to let the Senate know.
Thank you, Senator Prescia. Point, Senator Randall.
Yeah, I have a point of information for Chair Little. If you're able to answer, what was the purview of the investigative board at that time? Do you remember? On July 14th and around that date when you're specifically talking about?
I believe at the time the investigative board was only still the investigative board on presidential appointments. I believe it was October in which the scope of the investigative board was expanded. So the subpoena was sent by the Judiciary Committee, and the investigative board at the time was still just looking into the appointment process.
Yes, it was expanded in rules and calendar. I remember that. Probably October. Senator Bateman.
Hello. So I just want to make sure I have something very clear based off of what the chair of the committee had just said, was that a student came to the committee saying that they had heard that there was an issue with some of Levin's text messages. And if that's correct, now I'm no lawyer, but I believe that's the definition of hearsay. Wouldn't that make the generation of the subpoena completely legal to begin with? I'm sure I'm about ready to be corrected, but that's how that's kind of how I see the situation.
Point, Senator Linsky.
All right, yeah, evidence isn't my strong point, but hearsay is inadmissible in court. But when it comes to the investigative powers, think about this like a logical step-by-step basis. You hear something, you're not sure if it's true. And because you're not sure if it's true, you can't present it in court because it's hearsay. In order to confirm it, that's the actual purpose of subpoena power, of production requests, of discovery in general. So I think that you're correct, that when somebody came to the investigative board and said, I heard that this happened, totally hearsay, and that would be inadmissible in a trial in front of the Supreme Court. However, the intermediary step of confirming something or being able to disprove it is essential to determining whether or not that thing is true. Otherwise, we would just be operating in a world of the unknown, because we're not allowed to confirm anything by compulsory orders such as a subpoena or production request or what have you.
Senator Rigadell.
I just forgot to.
All right, Senator England.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to offer my 2 cents on the deliberations. I echo a previous senator's comments when they said that they don't really believe this is an impeachable offense. I'll be completely honest with you all. If someone subpoenaed my text messages, I wouldn't want to hand them over either. Like, privacy is something that is being deliberated and considered the highest levels, United States Supreme Court even, and I know that if someone wanted my text messages from potentially up to about 70 people, because the subpoena requested all of his text messages between sitting 72nd student senators. And while I don't anticipate President Levin texted them all, there's the potential for like 70 people, right? Because there was roughly 70 people in Senate. 60, 70 people, I'm sure I can be corrected. But the point is, it's a lot of people, right? And if someone demanded that, at the student government level, that I hand over my text messages, potentially up to 60 people, I will openly admit that I don't think I would personally, I'm not saying this was what President Levin thought, but I personally wouldn't comply, because I believe personally that would be a huge violation of my privacy. And Senator Linsky just confirmed that, it's technically definition hearsay, even though, the whole reason subpoena power exists is so you can confirm speculation, but that doesn't make it any less speculative, right? I could, and I'm not going to accuse anyone of doing anything, but I could right now say that I've heard that someone's been doing something, right? And tomorrow I could petition the Judiciary Committee to subpoena someone. And so I'm not alleging that the original complainant was, making anything up or anything. That's not what I'm trying to say. My point is it's very easy to say something like that. And so I will be voting against this. And, I encourage everyone else to do the same. Thank you very much.
Point, Senator Randall.
Thank you, Mr. President. If it's all right, I hate to keep asking questions. Chair Little, I know you're having internet trouble, but I have a question regarding Judiciary Committee and this subpoena, because I remember you saying you served in it, so you may have some more insight. How did they find out about the text messages? Did they read the investigative board minutes and then they decided based on the investigative board minutes to do it? Because clearly it wasn't even within the purview of the investigative board at all. So how was that decision made?
So the student who came into the Judiciary Committee, not the investigative board. So it wasn't a communication between the two groups. It was directly to Judiciary.
Thank you. That helps clear things up.
Point, Senator Gonzalez.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to say this the most, I guess, statutorily correct way I can say it. Point of clarification. Point of personal privilege. I would say that senators that were actually subpoenaed and didn't actually go to their subpoenas kind of withdraw themselves from this conversation, because you didn't adhere to your subpoena either. With that, I yield.
Senator Marcus. Senator Villacorta. Villacorta.
Sorry, one second. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my audio. Would you mind going to Linsky first?
Okay. All right. Senator Linsky.
I have a deliberation. Frankly, I think a lot of us are upset for a variety of reasons. Some are upset because it seems that the executive branch has been aggressively non-compliant when it suits them, and then against the vestiges of what claims to be due process, then submits things at the very last minute. It seems pretty contradictory and exposes, I think, an undercurrent of we're not going to do anything that you want us to do until it's in our interests and until it's at the last minute. And with that, I'm referring to the memo that was sent tonight in the proceeding. There was more than just since last week to write it. 9 months or so to write it. I'm speaking about the minutes that were given. That I've never seen minutes written in the first person before. I've never thought to myself, when you're taking minutes, you go, "Dear diary, it was a good day and I did this and that." That's besides the point. I'm still going to vote no on this, and here's why. This is just going to cause more retaliation from each side over and over again, and I'm sick of it. I am sick of lobbing these big silos around to say, well, I feel offended and I feel aggrieved and I will have my day. I kid you not. That's not a productive way for us to operate as a unit if we want to get real stuff done. And do I think that this is an impeachable offense? I'm not sure. If I thought that it was, maybe I'd go for it. But in response to the senator who brought up Immanuel Kant and retributivist justice, I take Kant with a grain of salt. This is a person who said, "Never shall you lie." It's the categorical imperative not to lie. And then the question, what if you were hiding Jews during Nazi Germany? And his answer would be, well, I said I should never lie, and therefore they would direct that person. It shows the limits of Kantian metaethics, I think, in a poignant way, where a divergence from what is right on this bright line thing, which would be to vote yes, it will lead to more strife, it will lead to more harm, it will lead to us not being able to do our jobs the best that we can for the student body. And which is why I say wholeheartedly, whether this was for a good reason, a bad reason, any reason, whether or not this has merit as grounds of impeachment, the fact that we have to ask that question in the first place tells us that it is not essential that the idea of justice be upheld today, because we do bigger stuff than this on a weekly basis. Each of us as individuals, each of us on committees, we are the stewards of the student activities fees. We are who students are supposed to look for when they need guidance and leadership. And while I think it's important that we bring these issues to bear, if only to model the behavior of what accountability looks like to each other, I don't think that impeachment is the right thing to do here. And with that, I yield.
Senator Villacorta.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was having some issues before. After hearing Senator Linsky, there was one other thing I wanted to touch on. A previous senator had mentioned that the way in which the investigative board had obtained some of the information that it used as the basis for subpoena, anyone could throw out an accusation and then against a government official, and then an investigation would be started. The implication seemed to be that that would be a bad thing. That's what government accountability is. That's the purpose of having these methods for investigation and fact-finding. It's to address when we have those issues. And unfortunately, in the last several months, I've seen that become more and more prevalent as more students have, come to government bodies seeking, some form of justice for whatever they believe to have been done unjustly. And so I would definitely like the Senate to keep in mind, not just for this case, but going forward, that, if students come to you with concerns, if students come to you with an allegation or a story or an interaction, it's, I'd definitely argue it's your duty to investigate that as stewards of the Constitution and the statutes and our rules. ensuring that we are upholding them, but also, the legislative branch is obviously a check on the executive and judicial, but we also have to remember when we need to check ourselves and our colleagues. So, as someone who students have come to before saying, hey, there's this thing going on that I think is wrong, I'd ask you all to keep an open mind in the future, should students ever come to you or any of our other colleagues and ask for something to be done, for facts to be found. And with that, I yield.
Vice Chair Bull.
Thank you, President. This will probably be my final deliberation. I have to say I look up a lot to the senator in Law Seat 1, and that, ultimately, I guess that impeachment is maybe too far, and that this is enough to show our constituents that accountability is still selected for in the Student Senate. Because after speaking and after hearing many of my constituents come to these meetings, come to other meetings and speak to me personally about how wrong they feel about the executive branch, I think it's important that we show them that you can't just get away with doing whatever you want because you won an election a year ago. I think this is enough. I think this is this hearing has been a show that you can't just do that. You will be held accountable. You can't just say, no, I don't want to do that, and then not really defend yourself for 9 months, because ultimately it will be held accountable. So I guess, I've been persuaded to vote no, because I don't want to see any more further conflict. I rather pass the bills that I like to pass. I rather work towards making a better SGA, a more cohesive SGA, and one that we don't run into the same flaws that burden our government at the federal level, which is so against its constituency. And so I would argue that we do not follow in the path that our federal government has, devolving into party politics and working against the people actively, and we work for them and make a better government. So thank you. I yield.
Senator Bateman.
So for about the last hour, we've heard interesting debates about the legality of the subpoena. We've heard debates on, does this warrant impeachment or not? And I know that for about the last hour, I've known that I'm going to vote no on this impeachment. And I think all senators on this call at this point just about have an idea of how they will vote. So with that, I would like to call the question.
Is there a second? Senator England?
Yes, so seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none. Attorney General Reddy, you have 5 minutes for your closing.
Is it appropriate that I read the president's closing statements on his behalf?
Yeah.
Okay. The president says that once again, I apologize for leaving my ROTC commitment. I don't want to go into any legal talk specifically because I personally am not an expert in it, and the majority or anybody on this call are not experts, even though some are more educated than others. I do want to go into the very premise of why we are here. Should I be impeached? I will wholeheartedly tell you in full honesty, the advice that I received by those who are experts of the law were that this is not a legal subpoena. Therefore, I did not comply for that specific reason. We could go on and on talking about if it was legal or not, and the opinions would continue to differ. But the advice from those attorneys is why my actions resulted in that way. I do believe we need to add more to our statutes and in our Constitution so this does not occur again. But until then, I ask you, should I be impeached?
Attorney General Reddy, the time has expired for your closing. We will now go into a roll call vote. Will the pro tempore please administer the vote?
Senator Arrett. I vote no.
And actually, before we continue, just to clarify, yes is to support the impeachment of Student Body President Levin. No is to not support it. And then abstention is abstention.
All right, Senator Arrett. Yes.
Senator Bateman,
No.
Senator Bergen,
Oh, sorry. No.
Senator Boole,
No.
Senator Kubas,
No.
Senator Darrell Deek is not here. Senator Destine, also not here. Senator Duperrier, also not here. Senator England,
No.
Senator Fineout,
Yes.
Senator Flashman is not here. Senator Gabadage,
It's a voice
No.
vote. There we go.
Okay. No.
okay, thank you. Senator Gertz is not here. Senator R. Gonzalez,
Nope.
Senator A. Gonzalez.
Yay.
Oh, President Harmon, are they able to unmute themselves?
Yeah, I fixed it. Yeah.
Cool. Senator Grace Reed, Senator Reed. All right, moving on. Senator Grunberger,
No.
Senator Hall is not here. Senator Jay Hitchcock,
No.
Senator Kay Hitchcock,
No.
Senator Hunter,
No.
Senator Kalink, Senator Kalink, all right, moving on. Senator Lassard,
I abstain.
Senator Grunberger, I got you. Senator Lewis,
No.
Senator Linsky,
No.
Senator Little,
No.
Senator Louise is not here. Senator Marcus,
Yes.
Senator Martin,
No.
Senator Melion,
No.
Senator Molina, Senator Molina, are you here? No, he's not on the call. Senator Moore, okay, also not on the call. Senator Mouget,
No.
Senator Murcia,
Yes.
Senator Murray,
No.
Senator Nasworthy,
Yes.
Senator Nemeth,
No.
Senator Prescia,
No.
Senator Ramos,
Yes.
Senator Randall,
No.
Senator Rigadell,
No.
Senator Rivera,
No.
Senator Rodriguez,
No.
Senator Ross, I don't believe he's here. Senator Rossi,
No.
Senator Roy,
Yes.
Senator Rudolph, he's not here. Senator Russell,
No.
Senator Sam. Yeah, if he's not here. Senator Shaler,
No.
Senator Shanahan. He's also not here. Senator Soto.
Yup.
Was that yep or no? Senator Soto, can you repeat that?
Yes.
Okay. Senator Stinson,
No.
Senator Stoltz,
Yeah.
Senator Suarez,
No.
Senator Tackett,
Yes.
Senator Thorpe. Don't believe he's here. Nope, he's not here. Senator Tux. He's not here. Senator Villacorta,
Yes.
Senator Wang, I vote no. Senator West,
No.
and Senator Wilkinson, who I also believe is not here. All right, give me 1 second to count all these votes. Vote reads 11 yes, 32 no, 1 abstention. Article 2 does not pass.
All right, student body president Levin is not impeached. I will now entertain a motion to return to the orders of the day. Senator Randall,
Mr. President, I move to return to the orders of the day.
Senator Bull,
So seconded.
any objections? All right, seeing none, we will now go back into special introductions and announcements. None. Messages from the executive branch. None. Messages from agency and bureau directors, SGA organizations, officers, and employees. If you are here for any of these organizations, just please raise your hand so I can unmute you. But seeing none. Messages from the executive cabinet. None. Messages from the class councils. I believe Senator Brooke Murray is going to speak on behalf of the class council.
Hey everyone. So on Friday, the Sophomore Class Council has an event at 6:30 partnered with the SLC for a showing of, I think it's Hidden Figures in the College of Medicine courtyard. So please, please, please come out to that. And then the junior class is having a virtual campaign dedicated to professional development. So please follow the FSU Class Council on Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Murray. Messages from the Congress of Graduate Students. Please welcome Speaker Hagermeyer. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, you're all good. Hey, everyone. Just wanted to go ahead and give an update. I know Cox doesn't typically come and speak at the Senate. I kind of want to change that. And, I've been kind of shadowing a lot of your meetings, trying to, keep up on a lot of the university matters. So at least for us, we've got like $276,000 left in our budget. So quite a lot. But last meeting, we put out a resolution. I think there was a lot of confusion. In the summer, we put out a resolution saying that we wouldn't sponsor in-person or pay for in-person events. However, the student affairs changed that guideline. I don't know exactly when, but when I became speaker, I noticed that. And so we went ahead and passed a resolution basically saying that our guidelines will parallel the university's guidelines when it comes to in-person funding. Since then, my email has been blowing up with requests. So it's looking like we're going to spend a lot more of that money moving forward. And yeah, I hope to keep staying in touch with you guys, staying involved. And I'll probably be working with Senator Randall on getting graduate students more representation in the Senate. Because when it comes to university matters like a student Senate or, executive branch impeachment, the fact that, Cox can't even speak on that matter or have a vote or anything like that, I'd like to change that moving forward. So hope to be seeing you guys a lot.
Thank you, Speaker. All right, messages from the judicial branch. None. Messages from the Union Board and Student Engagement Ambassadors. Please welcome Senator Randall.
Hi, y'all. This message is from Gigi, one of our student engagement ambassadors. RTAC, Finance, and PAC met with her in her capacity as an engagement ambassador for the presentation for student organizations and involvement finance trainings. So finance trainings will be held, I think, every other week. They started this week. It's going to be sent out in the leaders listserv next week. They recorded this week's meeting. Please tell your RSO friends and presidents and treasurers to take a look at that training. If they have any questions or they want to see it in person, I'm not sure it'll be next week, but it's probably the week after that. And I'll be sending the link for details in the Senate chat. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Are there any other messages from the Union Board and Student Engagement Ambassadors? Seeing none. Messages from the Campus Recreation Board? None. Report of the SGA Accounting Office, remaining balances. Senate Projects has a remaining balance of $23,837.20. PAC has a remaining balance of $41,948. RTAC has a remaining balance of $52,540, and the organizational fund has $1,000 left. Report of Senate liaisons. Are there any liaisons wishing to make a report at this time? Senator Bateman.
Hello, so I am the liaison to the medical response unit. I just wanted to come in and say that last week they held their executive board elections for the next year. The new executive director, Kevin Angel, he's looking forward to coming before the Senate during the fall semester for his confirmation. And I just wanted to update the Senate on the workings of their executive board. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bateman. Senator Soto.
Hi, everyone. I'm the liaisons for Relay for Life and for the Pride Student Union. So I'm going to talk about the Pride Student Union tonight. So we had our first GBM yesterday. It went very well. And we have another one in March. Going along with the Pride Student Union, we are co-sponsoring with the Black Student Union. And at our bowling night tomorrow night, I think you can sign up through BSU's Instagram link. It's in their bio. I hope to see some of y'all there. Obviously, it's free entry. Just wear a mask and, get tested. In terms of Relay for Life, we released our theme. It's going through the decades. So I really hope that y'all either have a team created, and if you need any help with that, you can always contact me. So yeah, I hope you have a great night.
Senator Prussia.
Hi, everyone. I'm the liaison for the Black Student Union, and also on behalf of one of the COBOL organizations associated with the Black Student Union, the Caribbean Student Association, we are having a workshop with Alpha Kappa Psi Business Fraternity about professionalism and professional etiquette. That is on Monday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. The Zoom link shall be posted on both the CSA and AK Psi Instagram pages, and I hope to see you guys there.
Senator Gonzalez.
Hi, everyone. I'm the liaison for VSU. And 2 days ago, the 2021-2022 CVA Executive Board applications opened up for the Collegiate Veterans Association. So if you know veterans or anyone that would be interested in applying to those positions, please let them know. With that, I yield.
Pro Tempore Wang.
Hey, so Senator Marcus had to step away, but he's the liaison to the Asian American Student Union, and they just want to remind everyone that their drive-in Lunar New Year celebration is this Saturday at 6 p.m. on Langford Green. It was postponed from last week, but hope to see you guys there. I yield.
Thank you to all our liaisons that made a report. Are there any other liaisons before we move on? All right, report of the committees, Internal Affairs.
Hey everyone, sorry I couldn't find the raise hand button. So Internal Affairs met at 6:30 p.m. on Monday. We heard 4 candidates for confirmation. We passed them all. They have our full support, and assuming they're all here, You will be hearing from them tonight. We also have Bill 4 in committee, sponsored by Senator Villacorta. That remains tabled. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair England. Slaw.
Hello, everybody. Slamet, Slamet on Tuesday at 8 p.m., kind of a short meeting. We did pass Bill 11, sponsored by Senator Marcus, and then Resolution 17 and 18 are tabled, and we will be meeting again next Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Thank you, Chair Martin. Finance.
Hi, everybody. I normally don't make announcements for finance, but here I am. So we passed consent resolution 6 for our TAC for funding with the Music Teacher National Association at FSU, as well as the National Association for Business Economics at FSU. The whole consent resolution came out to $1,210, and we also passed a line item as well as the whole resolution for consent resolution number 7 for PAC, for the Alliance for Black Women, Blacks in Computing, and the big event, which totaled up to $4,954. So yeah, that's pretty much all we did yesterday, and we're meeting next week. So yeah.
Thank you, Vice Chair Soto. Judiciary.
Hello, everyone. The Judiciary Committee met last night at 6 p.m. We held an impeachment hearing for Student Body Vice President, 3 articles of impeachment, none of which were forwarded to the full Senate. We also heard Bill 10, sponsored by Senator Boole, which was tabled for a week for additional research into it.
Thank you, Chair Little. Budget. Chair Stinson. There we go.
What's up, everybody? So exciting news last week. We finished budget week, the greatest week of the year. Special shout out to Senator Randall and Soto. They were the only 2 senators that came to anything the entire week. And then a huge shout out, I'm going to say them specifically because they are all absolutely awesome. Senator Gonzalez, Ashley, and Rob Gonzalez, Senator Bateman, Senator Rigadell, Senator Thorpe, and I really hope I'm not missing one, and Senator Tackett. They were all great. We deliberated, I think it was 8 hours on Friday, and I could not have asked for a better committee. They were all awesome, and I think it was the most effective budget deliberation I've ever seen. But yeah, that's what we did. And then Monday, we went over the proviso language and approved it. So we won't be hearing it or voting on it this week, but next week we'll be voting on the budget bill. But again, huge shout out to everyone I just mentioned because they're absolutely awesome and I commend them greatly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Stinson. Rules and calendar.
Hello again, Senate. So Rules and Calendar met at 5 p.m. just before Senate. We retabled resolutions 4 and 9 as the sponsor for resolution 9 did not show up. We will be meeting again next Wednesday at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Pro Tempore Wang. RIJ Ad Hoc. There we go.
Hello, Senate. Ridge will be meeting this Friday at 7. We have a lot of important things to talk about, and we encourage anyone to come. The time is a little different, so if you haven't been able to come to Ridge before because of its time at 6, hopefully you can come this time at 7. So hope to see you there.
Thank you, Chair Hunter. Sexual Assault Survivors and Advocacy Ad Hoc. Welcome, Chair Soto.
Hi, everyone. SA Squared is meeting Sunday at 7:30 p.m. We met 2 weeks ago, and we had Torchlight come in. It was really awesome. So I hope to see some of y'all there. So yeah.
I think I'm going to start using that. That's a little easier to say. All right. Senate confirmations. We have Matthew Rega for Assistant Director of Finance for the Inter-Residence Hall Council, Nicholas Stinson, Chief of Staff for the Office of Governmental Affairs, Kenley Adams, Vice President of Outreach for the Mental Health Council. Unfortunately, Kenley had to leave at 8:30, so we'll be hearing her next week. And Kana Lilly, Vice President of Programming for the Mental Health Council. If I called your name for confirmation, or if your name was not listed and you are here for confirmation, please raise your hand so I can unmute you and we'll go through the process. All right, we have Matthew, Kana, and if I pronounce your names incorrectly, please correct me once I unmute you. And then Senator Stinson, you're a candidate here today. There we go. All right. Before I unmute you, the process will be you'll have 5 minutes for an opening. Whatever you don't use in your 5 minutes will be reserved for your closing. At any point after your closing is done, senators can ask questions, much like you did answer in internal affairs. All right. And we'll start with Matthew, then Kana, then Nicholas. And once again, if I pronounce your names incorrectly, please correct me. But we'll start with Matthew. You have 5 minutes for your opening. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Senate. My name is Matthew Rega, and I am the returning chair of finance for Inter-Residence Hall Council. And I'm here for reconfirmation for the last 2 months before elections happen for IRHC once again. I've worked in this position before, so I know my way around SGA budget as well as IRHC's budget. And I have lots of records of our previous expenses, and I'm planning ahead for what we can expect to spend for next year. I've been financially certified now 3 times through SGA, so I have I can't speak, sorry. I have a wide range of experience in this position, and that's all. I yield my time.
Candidate yields 4 minutes and 13 seconds to his closing. We'll move on to the next candidate, Kana Lilly. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kana Lilly, and I am currently running for Vice Director of Programming. And I recently got into mental health because my goal is to educate and spread awareness on the factors that may affect us in the school body and everything that goes on in our current communities. I am very strong-filled about it because as a second-year student and a Black woman, I feel very strongly about bringing a seat to the table for my communities and for the communities I would like to express and represent. I am currently studying political science with a minor in English, and that is all I would like to say.
All right, candidate yields 4 minutes and 30 seconds to her closing. We will now move on to Senator Stinson. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Good evening, good evening, everyone. So my name is Cole Stinson. I'm a sophomore and I'm majoring in political science. And I personally am applying for Chief of Staff for OGA because I really enjoy lobbying. It's something I'm passionate about. And another thing I'm really passionate about is, understanding new perspectives. And that's something that Florida State has to offer. There's so many different people on campus, and it's so fun, meeting everybody, learning their lived experiences, and then translating that into real world legislation that will help them out. And I love being here in Senate. I love passing legislation. And I really want to translate that to real world legislation that will have really big impacts on everyone here at FSU.
Candidate yields 4 minutes and 10 seconds to his closing. We will now move into technical non-debatable questions, just questions in general for the candidates. Are there any senators wishing? Senator England.
Yes, thank you. I have 2 quick points of clarification that I forgot to mention. So the first one I'll just say very briefly on Cole Stinson is that as it currently stands, he can serve as both senator and chief of staff. I know that came up in internal affairs. Just wanted to clarify that I understand. I think there's some changes pending to the major office's mantle of statutes, but as it currently stands, Senator Stinson can serve in both capacities. And then the second point of clarification, and I dare say more importantly, is keen-eyed senators might have noticed that Matthew Rega was not on any recent forwarding letter. And the reason for this is actually he was forwarded last April, as in April 2020, and was never heard for confirmation. He has served in this capacity before, as in he was confirmed for it the year before. He is returning, or has returned, I guess, for a second year to this position. And he served 10 out of 12 months in the position without being confirmed. And so his the forwarding letter, I believe, from memory, is April 17th on the SGA website. But I just wanted to clarify for anyone confused as to why Mr. Rager is here. He was forwarded last April, and for whatever reason, was not heard for confirmation. And I believe someone from housing reached out to either Levin or Harmon, I forget who, but basically here we are, I guess, retroactively confirming Matthew Rager. So that was just clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair England. Senator Gonzalez.
Yes, I have a point, and then I want to ask questions. Point of information. I mean, doesn't that mean that the forwarding letter was addressed to the 72nd Student Senate and not the 73rd? Not to be a butt about it, but.
Well, we heard, who was that candidate that failed recently? She was forwarded also on a
I
72nd.
think we're talking about Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel Coteau, she was forwarded, I believe, on a 72nd Senate one. And I think this Chief Justice said it was okay. I honestly, don't quote me on that part, but we have heard people that have been forwarded by the 72nd before.
Okay. This is a question for candidate Stinson. What kind of experience do you have, like lobbying or like anything within OGA? Like, were you part of a NEP? Like, what kind of experience do you have there?
Okay, so personally, I have not lobbied for NEP, but for just lobbying experience, I'm involved with APAC, NOPAC here on campus, and actually twice a year, we go up to DC and we have a huge conference where we learn about what APAC is wanting to lobby for. For those of you who don't know APAC, it's like I think it's the second or third most powerful lobbying organization in the world. And it's a pro-Israel lobbying group, and so we go up to DC and we talk about what we want to advocate for, and then actually at the end of the conference, after it's over, we actually get to go to these to the offices of these congressional members, and we just get to advocate and talk to them about what things we are advocating for on behalf of APAC.
Senator Hunter.
Yeah, I have a question I'd like to direct to our candidate, Lilly. And my question is, what experience do you have that motivated you to run for this position?
So an experience I have that motivated me for this position is currently I'm undergoing mental health issues myself, and I've seen a lot of my friends going through things like anxiety, depression, and all of that stuff. And I think my experiences have kind of taught me that a lot of us feel very alone and very secluded in the spaces that we are in because of these mental health issues. So one of my goals is to also spread awareness through my own issues and the own issues I continue to face and the struggles that I face in the student body and through my classes, and kind of add a little bit of personable and like kind of personality to kind of everything I'm trying to teach and inspire. I am not a therapist. I have my own problems. I go through a lot. And I think feeling like you're not alone is one of the main avenues that I want to like kind of stress and really advocate for.
Senator Bull.
Thank you, President. This question is for Senator Stinson. How do you plan on juggling both your extensive role in Senate and this possible role with OGA?
So yeah, great question. I personally think that I am very good at scheduling. I have my schedule down to pat. I have a full calendar on my desk. I have everything I've written out. I think that's definitely part of why I was chosen for this position. Is that something I'm very good at. I can schedule things. I can handle things. I've always had a lot on my plate, and I love being busy. Being busy is something that keeps me sane, honestly. And yeah, I personally love it. I'm good at it. And that's how I would do it.
All right, Senator Villacorta.
Thank you. And may I reserve a follow-up?
Yep.
So first question for the candidate for the Mental Health Council. Given that the statutes that govern the Mental Health Council specifically prohibit the giving of any advice or treatment or any offers of medical advice or presenting yourself as someone who has the capacity to give medical advice, will you commit, if confirmed, to ensuring that you do not and that you hold members of the Mental Health Council who have already been confirmed and will be confirmed in the future accountable to ensuring that this statute is upheld?
Yes, I do confirm that because as I've stated, I am not a therapist. I do not wish to act as a therapist. And my goal is to kind of just teach and advocate for those who are feeling the same way as me. So I do.
Thank you very much. And then my second question is for the candidate for OJ Chief of Staff. Given that OJ is a bureau under the, an agency, bureau, yeah, under the executive branch, and Senate is a separate branch that is meant to conduct oversight, and that if confirmed, you'll be a member of both, and would have to represent the interests of the Senate while also representing the interests of this agency, bureau. Would you commit to abstaining on any OGA legislation that could affect how the Bureau operates, given that the legislative branch is there to conduct oversight and the governing documents that would govern that Bureau?
Yeah, for sure. So personally, if that, if that line's crossed in between the two, I'll just step back out of it. That's, obviously that's a conflict of interest, and I want to keep Senate, and I want to keep the OGA stuff and exec. I personally would try not to have a role in that because, again, that's a conflict of interest.
All right, are there any other questions for candidates at this time? Senator Gonzalez.
Yes, one more. This is for the candidate for OGA, Chief of Staff. I remember a big thing when we were confirming the board of directors was about how people practice bipartisanship in their experience, like before stepping into this role. So can you kind of talk about like how you've how you've practiced bipartisanship in your experiences?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we can go back and look at a couple resolutions in here that it tailors to both sides, and I'm always down. I honestly don't really care about the partisanship. It's not up to me. If we want to get something done as for whatever body I'm trying to help, I love to hear perspectives. I love to understand things. So I'm not really here for the partisanship. I'm here to get make FSU a better place. I'm not here for the partisanship.
Are there any other questions for the candidates? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Senator Gonzalez.
I move to forward each candidate individually.
Senator Hunter.
So seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, we'll go in the order in which we began. We'll start, this is your closing now. We'll go in the order in which we did at the beginning. So candidate Rega, you have 4 minutes and 13 seconds for your closing. You may begin as soon as I unmute you.
I'd like to thank Senate for their time and considering me for confirmation in this position. I know that due to issues at home and me not having internet, I was unable to be confirmed over the summer, but I'm here to be properly confirmed for the remainder of my term. Thank you.
All right, candidate Lilly, you will have 4 minutes and 30 seconds for your closing. You may begin as soon as I unmute you.
Good evening. I would just like to reiterate what the first candidate says, and I would just like to thank all of you for allowing me to express my passions and openly discuss with you my interests and what I want to do and what I wish to do. And I would like to thank you once again, and I really want to stress that. That's it.
All right, Senator Stinson, you will have 4 minutes and 10 seconds to your closing. All right, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Senate, so much. I appreciate all the work you guys do. I'm very excited to make FSU the best place possible with your guys' help. Thank you.
All right, we are now in line to vote. We will vote individually, starting with candidate Rega, who will be IRHC Finance. Director of Finance, I believe. Oh, Assistant Director of Finance. There we go.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to put all their hands down first, so it makes it easier. All right, those wishing to vote yes on candidate Rega, please raise your hands. Those wishing to vote no on the candidate, please raise your hands. Oh, Chair Stinson, you also vote in this. I'm not sure if you knew that. So if you didn't vote in that first one, please message me. Those wishing to abstain on candidate Rega, please raise your hands. Is there anyone wishing to change their vote? All right, vote reads 42 yes, 43 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Candidate does pass.
Congratulations, candidate Rega. Just don't leave yet. We have to administer the oath after we end voting. Candidate Lilly for Vice President of Programming for the Mental Health Council.
All right, those wishing to vote yes on candidate Lilly, please raise your hands. All right, hang on, y'all. Keep them up. Those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Is there anyone wishing to change their vote? Please message me. All right, vote reads 41 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Candidate does pass.
Congratulations. Moving on, we have candidate Stinson for Chief of Staff for the Office of Governmental Affairs.
All right, those wishing to vote yes on candidate Stinson, please raise your hands. Those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Is there anyone wishing to change their vote? All right, vote reads 38. All right, 38 yes, 2 no's, 0 abstentions. Candidate does pass.
Congratulations to all the candidates. You are now you're now confirmed. Will the pro tempore please administer the oath?
Yes, 1 second. Oh, can y'all raise your hands, the candidates, so we can unmute you? All right. Candidates for student body offices may choose to replace the words "so help me God" with "on pain of impeachment" when taking the oath of office. Do you guys understand? Yeah.
Yes.
Please raise your right hands. I state your name.
I, Cole Stinson.
I'm Matthew Rega.
Promise to support and defend.
Promise to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Florida,
state of
Florida,
and the Florida State University student body.
Florida State
and the Florida State University student body.
And I shall perform my duties to the best of my ability.
And
I shall perform my duties to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, candidates. You can all leave the meeting if you'd like, except for Senator Stinson. You actually have to stay because you are senator. So, all right. Moving on, consent calendar. Consent resolution 6, sponsored by Senator Randall, allocating conference registration fees to students from the Music Teachers National Association and the National Association of Business Economics from the RTAC account. Give me 1 second to pull up. I had it, and then I lost it. All right. There we go. All right. Consent resolution 6, whereas the Resource for Travel Allocations Committee met on Monday, February 15th, 2021, where they were petitioned by the Music Teachers National Association at FSU and funded $210 in the category of the registration fee for a total of $210, and also funding the National Association for Business Economics at FSU, $1,000 in the category of registration fee for a total of $1,000, for a grand total for the consent resolution 6, $1,210. Is there a motion to approve consent resolution 6? Senator Soto.
So moved.
Senator Gonzalez.
So seconded.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, consent resolution 6 is approved. Congratulations to the sponsor. Consent resolution 7, sponsored by Senator Roy, whereas the Programming Allocations Committee met on Monday, February 15th, 2021 at 6 p.m. on Zoom. They were petitioned by the Alliance for Black Women, in which they funded in clothing and awards $640 for a total of $640. They were petitioned by the Blacks in Computing for funding in the category of clothing and awards, $800 for a total of $800. And they were petitioned by the Big Event, which they allocated $240 in the category of contractual services, $562 in the category of expense, $586 in the category of food, and $2,126 in the category of clothing and awards, for a total of $3,514, bringing the grand total of consent resolution 7 to $4,954. Although the Big Event is at $3,514, so we must approve that by a line item vote, which is a 2/3 vote. Please welcome the sponsor of consent resolution 7, PAC Chair Roy. All right, PAC Chair Roy, you have 5 minutes for your opening. Whatever you don't use is reserved for your closing. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, good evening, Senate. I wanted to start off by talking about the Big Event. So in PAC, we heard this request, and the Big Event, for those who don't know, it's the largest one-day student-run service project here in Tallahassee, and it's basically hosted every year. Last year, they had to do it virtually. Yet this year, they're expecting to have attendance of around 1,000, and they requested contractual services so that they can rent IM Field to host this event. They requested money for food. We end up cutting down by funding the cheapest options, but we did fund them for water, granola bars, crackers, and chips, which will be going to their volunteers and people who attend this so that they can make sure that people are able to get some sustenance while they're helping out the community. We're funding in expenses that we can help them give away some pens and stickers. And as well, one of the biggest expenses is clothing and awards. We're helping them get t-shirts. They end up requesting $500 for $2,126. Right now, we fully support this event. And I don't know if I need to cover the Alliance for Black Women or Blacks in Computing, because the Big Event's the only one that's over 2,000. However, both of these organizations were also for clothing and awards, and we heard their requests and we're fully on board with them. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask, as I have all of their quotes, and I yield my time.
Sponsor yields 3 minutes and 31 seconds to his closing. Just for clarification, we're only dealing with the Big Event. for now, just because it's a line item. Are there any technical non-debatable questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we are now in the first round of pro. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator Lassard.
So I really think we should fund this. The big event is a fantastic student volunteer opportunity and really helps out the Tallahassee community as a whole. So I think funding them would also show our support for our fellow community members because while yes, we are a college campus, we do greatly impact the Tallahassee community as well.
Senator yields 1 minute and 45 seconds to the first round of pro. Senator Randall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate has been funding the big event in various capacities since they were started as an affiliate project, I think in 2005 or 2008. It shows our commitment to the ideals of strength, skill, and character, specifically character, by showing that the student senate and therefore the student body cares about service to the community and sees more of the larger picture than just the walls of these campus, but more importantly, the neighborhoods that we live and study in. And with that, I yield.
Senator yields 1 minute and 10 seconds to the first round of pro. Senator Nasworthy.
Kind of doubling down on what the previous senators have said. This is an amazing experience for students to get involved in the community and actually make a difference, make a practical difference. I've been to it. Remember my freshman year, I think. It's just overall an amazing event that deserves to be funded, and it really kind of gives a sense of community between us, FAMU, and TCC, as well as the city of Tallahassee as a whole. So it's an amazing event overall.
Senator yields 38 seconds to the first round of pro. Are there any other senators wishing to speak? Senator Suarez, you had your hand up. Are you still wanting to speak? If so, just raise your hand, but if not, all right, there we go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say about like how what the past senator just talked about. It brings the three campuses that are here at Tallahassee together. Being the president of a registered organization on campus that is about service, and this event being canceled last year due to COVID, it's really exciting to see it back, and being able to attend it in person. So I do encourage everyone to vote yes for it.
Senator yields 13 seconds to the first round of pro. Are there any other senators wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll move into the first round of con. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? Once, twice, 3 times. Seeing none, is there a motion? Yeah, Senator Randall.
Mr. President, I move to call the question.
All right, is there a second? Senator Soto.
So seconded.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, sponsor, you have 3 minutes and 31 seconds to your closing. You may begin whenever you're ready. Oh, actually, let me unmute you.
No, thank you to all of the senators who spoke in pro. Thanks for the senator who talked about their experience with it. It really is a great way to make sure that our community knows that we're here, knows that we want to be involved in a positive way. And I look forward to hopefully funding this big event. Thank you.
Senator waves his closing. We are now in line to vote. Pro Tempore Wang, will you please administer the vote?
All right, those wishing to vote yes on this line item, please raise your hands. All right, those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Is there anyone wishing to change their vote? Please message me. All right, vote reads 38 yes, 0 no's, 1 abstentions. Line item does pass.
All right. Seeing as though the line item is approved, we have a grand total of $4,954 for consent resolution 7. Is there a motion to approve the consent resolution? Senator Boole,
So moved.
Senator Little,
So seconded.
are there any objections? Seeing none, consent resolution 7 is approved. Congratulations, Chair Roy. All right, moving on in the calendar, we have bills on first reading. Bill 3, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, updating the list of major offices, preserve checks and balances, and address conflicts of interest, referred to Judiciary, tabled in Judiciary. Bill 4, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, amending the candidate screening process, referred to Judiciary, then Internal Affairs, passed in Judiciary, tabled in Internal Affairs. Bill 10, sponsored by Senator Boole, implementing instant runoff voting procedures for elections to improve voter freedom and vote integrity, referred to Judiciary and tabled in Judiciary. Bill 11, sponsored by Senator Marcus, allocating $8,100 to fund the installation of changing tables in highly trafficked areas of campus to support students with young dependents, referred to SLAW, then budget, passed in SLAW, where it will now go to budget. Bill 12, sponsored by Senator Murcia, reallocating unspent funds through a transfer of $1.5 million from A&S sweepings account to requesting organizations, referred to sweepings and will remain there until sweepings deliberations conclude. Bill 13, sponsored by Senator Randall and Stinson, as primary sponsors, Bergen, England, Flashman, Gabadaj, Gertz, Grunberger, J. Hitchcock, K. Hitchcock, Lassard, Little, Marcus, Millian, Mouget, Nemeth, Ramos, Roy, and Soto, all as co-sponsors. Reinstating the Jewish Student Union as an agency with the Student Government Association. One second. Referred to, I will be referring it to SLAW, then budget, then internal affairs, then judiciary. All right. Bill 14, sponsored by Senator Randall, revising chapter 207 to fix formatting errors and adding professional development requirements for student senators, referred to judiciary, then rules, I'm referring it to. Bill 15, sponsored by Senator Randall, revising chapter 203 to mandate a 2-minute minimum per student in public comment during official SGA meetings, referred to judiciary, then rules. Bill 20, sorry, that's on the wrong calendar. Bills on second reading. Bill 2021, sponsored by Senator Stinson as the primary sponsor, Bateman, Destine, A. Gonzalez, R. Gonzalez, Millian, Molina, Rigadel, Rossi, Tackett, and Thorpe, all as co-sponsors, allocating $13.79 million in A&S fees to SGA budgeted organizations for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. This will remain on second reading as it has to by statute for at least 5 days. Constitutional amendments, none. Resolutions. Resolution 4, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, amending Senate structure and composition about who should run the meeting during the transition of Senate and vacancies, referred to rules and calendar, tabled in rules and calendar, awaiting an advisory opinion. Resolution 9, sponsored by Senator Darrell Deek, to denounce the claim by the Burning Spear organization that they control the Student Government Association Student Senate, referred to SLAW, then rules and calendar, tabled in SLAW, passed in SLAW, tabled in rules and calendar. Resolution 17, sponsored by Senator Darrell Deek, the 73rd Senate, imploring the 73rd Senate, the 73rd Senate implores the SGA executive branch, FSU administration, and other FSU entities to rescind support of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism and further support the Palestinian community in free speech. Referred to SLAW, tabled in SLAW. Resolution 18, sponsored by Senator Darrell Deek, calling on the FSU administration and board of trustees to review and withdraw investments from corporations deemed unethical by the FSU student community, referred to SLAW, tabled in SLAW. Resolution 20, sponsored by Senator Wang, recognizing the significance of Lunar New Year, honoring the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, and declaring the 73rd Student Senate support during heightened discrimination. I will be referring that to SLAW. Resolution 21, sponsored by Senator Randall, bringing clarity to the rules of procedure regarding the introduction of failed legislation. That will go to rules. Resolution 22, sponsored by Senator Marcus, waiving statute 803.6, limiting contractual service budget spending, ASU, to bring Asian American speaker Len Chi to campus. That will be going to finance. Resolution 23, sponsored by Senator Soto, Nasworthy as primary sponsors, Martin, Murcia, Lewis, Lassard, Marcus, Boole, Suarez, Nemeth, and Gabadaj as co-sponsors, addressing student public transportation options on matters of efficiency and student friendliness. Student friendliness regarding hours of operation, capacity, and communication alerts. That will be going to SLAW, then rules. And I will actually be switching the referral for Bill 13 from SLAW first to budget first and then SLAW, seeing as though they meet in that order, and it would be easier for the sponsors to do so, to present their bills, just as a correction. Unfinished business, already dealt with that. Statements of dissent. Are there any senators wishing to lodge a statement of dissent? Senator Gonzalez.
Yes, I'd like to lodge one against the failure to impeach Jonathan Levin.
All right, 7:30 on Friday. Any other statements of dissent? All right, seeing none, new business. I will be appointing liaisons, more liaisons. Senator Gabadaj will be the liaison to the FSU libraries, and Senator Suarez will now be the liaison to IFC. If I missed any of your names and you've already spoken to me, I apologize. I probably didn't write it down and forgot, so let me know. All right, closing announcements. Are there any senators wishing to make closing announcements? Senator Lassard.
Really appreciate the swiftness tonight, guys. I do like not going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, considering that I have to get up and teach by 8 a.m. So thank you. Super appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Lassard. Senator Gonzalez.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to take some time out to thank all of our servicemen and women, veterans and first responders. It's very important to recognize for the work they do day in and day out to protect us in our community. I yield.
Senator Roy.
Yep. Thank you all for your time tonight. It was great hearing, as I said, the words that you said in favor of the big events funding. As well, I just want to let everyone know that PAC got our first member. It was someone that was actually confirmed last semester, and they were able to come back for this one. So we do have 1 out of 3 of our required members for quorum. But with that, I would like you guys to continue reaching out, whether it is through your agency unions, through your actual clubs, or anyone you know who either wants to put a step in the door for SGA or just find a really great, meaningful way to contribute to our school and to help RSOs put on the events that they want to, then please do reach out and let them know about PAC, because I've created my information flyer that I'm wanting to send, get approval from people here, see their thoughts, where I basically talk about PAC and I'm wanting to send that to every RSO. So I'll probably share it to some people, then share it in the actual group chat for the Senate. But I do look forward to continuing to advertise PAC. I look forward to getting some new PAC applications. And thanks again for your time tonight.
Thank you, Chair Roy. Senator Randall.
Thank you, Mr. President. As of, what time is it? 10:01 p.m. this Wednesday, I have 0 requests for next week for RTAC. I have $51,000 to give out by June 30th, and I have no requests. I need your help here. I'm trying to give $51,000 out. I want all of it gone. And the more people you tell about that, the more people I'll be able to give the money to. If they want to do a professional development, anything, even if it's individual students, I'm sure we can reach out to RSOs that would make it happen. I don't really care. If you have somebody that wants to go to a professional conference, because those are the most likely the ones that have event fees and things like that, reach out to me. I had someone reach out to me a week ago about a theater thing that they wanted to go to that would improve professional development opportunities for theater. We don't discriminate. Just because College of Music is better than everybody right now with 4 different RSOs from their college submitting requests doesn't mean that your college can't step up. And that's all I will say on that matter, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair Randall. Senator Rigadell.
Hello, hi, yes, everyone. I just wanted to say that the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship has so many resources for everyone. The Entrepreneurship College and their resources are not just for entrepreneurship students. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. I've had people contact me and say, hey, I have this great idea. I don't know where to go with this. And I led them in the right direction. All our professors are willing to talk to any student at FSU, whether you're a social entrepreneur or a commercial entrepreneur. If you want to create some kind of nonprofit and, end homelessness, and you think you have the perfect way to do that, then reach out to us. We can work with you on your ideas. So just if anyone comes to you regarding that, or if you yourself have a great idea or want to work with other students on a venture, then reach out to me and I will lead you in the right direction. There's also a bunch of competitions. If you do have a great idea and if you work on it, it's kind of hush hush because entrepreneurship students want to keep it to themselves, but there's a way for you to get funding for your venture. FSU will give you money if you have a great business model. You just have to go and get it. So reach out to me if you have, anything you're working on. And yeah, JMC's out there for you guys. So just want to let you guys know.
All right. Senator Gonzalez. Oh, okay. Before I call on others, Senator Villacorta is having mic issues, and he asked me to read this out on behalf of him. The FSU World Affairs program held its final tryout for the spring competition season, and I'd like to congratulate Senators Roy and Boole on securing spots on the spring competition team, as well as congratulate FSU Mock Trial and Chair Little on their recent success. Congratulations, Senator Roy, Boole, and Chair Little. All right, Senator Soto.
Hi, everybody. As most of you know, this week, today started campaign week. So good luck to everyone that is rerunning for their spring seats. And I just wanted to say, if you ever need anything, please reach out, because as I'm not going through that right now, I'm available for all of y'all for support. And yeah, just keep in mind that you're a student first and a senator second. So don't let a political party control you. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Senator Soto. Are there any other senators wishing to make a closing announcement? All right, seeing none, Press Secretary Mendez.
Hi, everyone. I just want to make my first announcement to say that I have officially gained access to the social media accounts, and my first task was changing the Twitter username for the sake of for the sake of branding and accessibility, because the previous username was quite confusing and didn't really match up with our Instagram username. So now you can just find us on every social media with FSU at FSU Senate. So follow if you haven't already. And I'm also working on a way to set up a means for having senators send in requests for social media posts at the discretion of the president and pro tem. So if you have anything, I'm very accessible, very easy to contact. So just contact me if you want to shout out any legislation or spotlight anything you're working on that you're particularly proud of or want to get the word out for. So yeah, just contact me whenever about literally anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Press Secretary Mendez. Pro Tempore Wang.
Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you guys for taking some time for Senate tonight. I think we worked pretty efficiently compared to the weeks past and the past Senate. I just wanted to take some time to thank you guys, really, because I think one of the most rewarding things that's come out of my position so far is getting to know so many of you guys, and I want to continue getting to know all of you guys. So I really appreciate all of you and all of your hard work. Also, I just wanted to address Lunar New Year. Happy New Year for everyone who celebrates it. Happy Year of the Ox. It's really hard. It's a really hard time for Asian Americans out there, considering all the xenophobic and racist comments we've been getting. It's like statistically known that like 1 in 4 Asian Americans have experienced like some sort of hate or racist comments just like in the past year because of COVID. So I just want to take a moment to address that and just to keep the Asian American community in your thoughts during this time. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Pro Tempore Wang. I don't really have many closing now. Well, okay. So the going in person, that I got a little excited about. It was brought up at one meeting, and so I wanted to gauge the opinion of Senate. There are no plans yet to move in person at any point, so just hold on. I know I got a little excited there, but so, you know, we just were gauging your opinion. But I had something else, but I totally forgot it. Anyways, good job tonight. I think y'all spoke well, discussed well, did pretty well. And we ended before 11 o'clock, so that's great. Advisor announcements. Wait, sorry. My closing announcement was actually to thank Dr. Bowden for all the work that he does. He has handled the budget, sweepings, this impeachment, all at the same time, all while being an interim director. So good job to Dr. Bowden. We're lucky to have you here. And I'd also like to welcome Dr. Williams to the Senate and the work that she's doing. She's already stepping up, and it's so exciting. I'm excited to have them here. And also Anna for all the packets and the paperwork that she does and everything else she offers to the Senate. So thank you to our advisors for helping us through this time. So now advisor announcements, if you have any.
Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and jump in real quick. So first of all, thank you. You know, certainly none of this work would be possible without all of you. So I've worked with a lot of you one-on-one and a lot of you in groups. And so I just appreciate this opportunity to come in and have the opportunity to work with you all. So I definitely wanted to give a shout out to the Budget Committee. I think efficiency is the word. They really put in work all week. You know, there are some difficult conversations to be had. I think many of you know that there was not an increase this year. So it was a tough process. And this was budget week 2.0. And so I applaud them for asking the tough questions and really hunkering down. And so my hope is that, you know, that they put something in front of you that you all can take a look at and kind of vet yourself as well. I think just a couple of quick reminders, as President Harmon mentioned, we are in fact exploring the idea of some kind of hybrid model. So yes, we're getting super excited, but we know there are a few hurdles that we have to get over in terms of large gatherings. There are just a few things that we'll need to work through with all of you all. And so you'll probably see some polls and different things coming out from President Harmon and Pro Tem Wang just to gauge who's here, who's comfortable meeting. We'll certainly look at a hybrid model. And one thing I will warn you is that if we go to the hybrid model, there is a time limit because CDC guidelines still say you can only gather in person for a certain amount of time. And so that's one of those hurdles that I want you all to think about as we move forward, because obviously, you know that our meetings tend to run, I would say probably closer to 3 hours than the 2-hour current allotment. And so that's something that we're looking at and we're trying to figure out how to navigate around that and just all the different pieces that come with using space at night, having it be able to be cleaned before classes the next morning. So I will continue to work with Dr. Williams and President Harmon on that. As we move forward, you will see Dr. Williams a little bit more as we move forward, as she has now almost officially been here for a month. So she is ready to jump in, and I welcome her to jump in and start working with you all as well. And I think the last thing I'll mention is just the decorum piece. I think we're doing good overall. I still want people to picture this as a virtual Senate chamber. And so there were a few opportunities there that were less than desirable with the mouthing of some profanities and some theatrics. And so just keep that in mind. I definitely am looking forward to us being back in person. I don't think those are things that we would do if we were sitting right next to each other. And so that's just something I wanted to throw out, but I couldn't be prouder of you all for just having an efficient meeting. And this was great, and I appreciate it. So with that, I will defer to Dr. Williams or Anna for any other announcements.
I'll hop in just quick. I thought that he was going to warn us that we were all going to indeed wear our full Senate best and not lounge on the couch if that's what you're doing right now. But yeah, good meeting, guys. It's great to see your faces and getting to pop into some committee meetings. I've been trying to make my way around and meet all you guys and see you guys. We want to know you. And it's been really good to be able to do that and see some of you come to life with different projects that you've been working on. So that's been good and exciting. Again, as always, I'm here to say, take care of yourselves, go to bed. You will be able to tonight. And, you know, feed yourself and all the good things. And yeah, take a walk also, you know, outside with fresh air. Yep, that's what I got. Ooh, and make sure if there is an amended version of legislation in a meeting, in a committee meeting, make sure that makes its way to me so I can put it in the legislation packet. That's what I got. Okay, good night, y'all.
I'll jump in. I will say that I am super proud of you all. You don't know me. I don't really know you all that much, but I've been here long enough to see that you all are super passionate about Florida State University. And I am an alum, two-time alum of Florida State with my bachelor's and my master's degree. And to just be here, to hear the way you all discuss the issues, even if you are in pro or con for the issue. You all are super passionate. You're doing your research, and I think that's important. I am just excited to be here. I'm excited to be your director of student engagement. The things that I'm hearing here on the Senate floor is enough information and a lot of information to allow me to be able to determine where I want to go with what I'm doing for the student body here at Florida State. So thank you so much. I have a 14-year-old daughter that's somewhat hearing what you all do. She's inspired and she's listening to how you all articulate issues. And so I'm just excited to be here. Your time is not in vain. I want you all to know that. And then I also want to let you all know that I'm student-centered. I am one who is super passionate about students. I go to bat for students. If you have any FAMU students that you all know, ask them about me and they'll tell you that I am legit the real deal when it comes to students and making sure that you all have what you need. So I'm excited to be here and thanks for letting me speak tonight. I have been sitting back and just learning and I'm ready to step in and help you all out.
Thank you so much to all our advisors. All right, we can now move on to the final roll call. Will the pro tempore please call the roll?
All right, when I call your names, please raise your hands. Senators Murcia, Flashman, and Tackett. Senators Roy, Villacorta, and Marcus. Senators Bateman, Gertz, and Hunter. Senator Little, Bergen, and Rudolph. Senators Destine, Grunberger, and Rossi. Senators Mouget, Shaler, and Prescia. Senators Randall, Stoltz, and Arrett. Senators England, Nasworthy, and Molina. Senators Hall, Lassard, and Duperrier. Senators Shanahan, Rodriguez, and Linsky. Senators Rigadel, Fineout, and Lewis. Sorry, I missed Senator Soto. Sorry, I just skipped over you. Senators Ramos, Sam, and Gonzalez. Senators Martin, Gabadaj, and Reed. Senators Moore, Suarez, and Nemeth. Senators Russell, Hitchcock, Jay Hitchcock, and Million. Senators Murray, West, and Rivera. Senators Thorpe, Kay Hitchcock, and Kubas. Senators Darrell Deek, Tooks, and Ross. Senators Boole, Kalink, and Louise. Senators Stinson and R. Gonzalez. All right, that is it for roll call.
All right, and I forgot one thing. Senator Kubis will now be on the Student Life and Academic Affairs Committee. I forgot to do that in new business, but like, just so y'all know. All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Boole.
So moved.
Is there a second? Senator Gonzalez?
Seconded. Also, am I green to anyone else?
Yes, you are, and we are adjourned.
Hey, okay.
Oh, we adjourned. Yeah, y'all can leave. I didn't know if y'all got that.
Stragglers.
This is how we know who wasn't near their computer.
Yeah.
So that wasn't so bad.
So much energy. I don't know what to do.